How about animals? We've had a few.
I don't have any pets right now, sadly.
Okay.
I have 4 children that feel
I have like 1,000 questions that I want to ask about all this stuff that I'm like potentially not on Kaylin's agenda for us to film.
You know, it's funny because I was like, I sometimes feel weird telling this story because I'm like, it feels like a fantasy.
It feels like a novel.
I'm Julie Saunders. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at AutoCamp.
And so maybe for those of us that haven't heard of AutoCamp, tell us all about it.
AutoCamp is, I would say, probably like a newer category, outdoor lodging, so hospitality company. Basically put, it's a glamping product. So we are across the US. The idea is sort of taking this idea of traditional camping, making it simple. Camping's not easy for everybody. There's a ton of gear, and elevating it.
Have you always been a big camper?
I'm not, actually. And I came up through hospitality and worked in other organizations. And what I loved about this was our mission, again, is really to get people outdoors. And we really live and breathe that, from meetings to company outings to, you know, just being on property, really spending time outside. It's very good for us.
Oh, fantastic. So how has the ethos of the company changed the way you manage your day and think about work?
I try to balance a little bit better, and I do try to spend time outside. So we've gotten a lot better about doing not all Zoom calls, and so when they're one-on-one calls where we don't need to look at something, I try to walk and talk. My team's spread across the US, but for those that are in Santa Barbara, we'll do hikes here and there to be able to like kind of reconnect that way. When we all meet as a group, we always try to do some amazing outdoor activity. We try to do a lot of different things and then give back. We actually just did, we're based in Santa Barbara, California.
I was gonna say, did you just tell me you're based in Santa Barbara? Because like, that sounds pretty fantastic.
It is, it's a good place to be based. We just did a give back with one of the foundations where we helped with the irrigation and did some planting and you know, try to do, again, things outside that are gonna help give back to the community.
So when you're living this dream job in a dream place, when you wake up first thing in the morning, well, first of all, what time do you wake up?
You know, it's changed in COVID. I used to be that person that woke up at 5:30, worked out, started my day, got my kids off to school. I'd say I'm more of like a 6 to 7 o'clock person. I try to get some emails done if I can get up early, kind of get my kids organized out the door. And then I typically start work and I try to find, you know, somewhere of like a 30, if I can, an hour break somewhere in the day. And we turned our garage into a gym and I'll go out and do a quick run. The beauty, I think, of working remote is that I can jump back on a Zoom and have a sweatshirt or sweater on and nobody knows. And for me, it's like a great way to, I can't sit, I have a hard time sitting still. And so being able to take that break, whether again it's a walking call or be able to go jump on the treadmill or bike for a little bit, it's just so nice to do. And I'm then better focused for the rest of the day.
And what is sort of your non-negotiable in the day? If you're like, if no matter what, this is a precious activity or time.
I try to always find at least 15 minutes when my kids get home. I go into the office, but a few days a week I'll also work from home. So those days that I'm home, I've realized the importance of, you know, being there for them. And so it doesn't always happen. A lot of the time I'm on a call, but I try to find at least, you know, 5-15 minutes just to check in with them, see how their day was, get them organized before, you know, they go on to sports or do homework or whatever. And it means a lot to them, and it also means, you know, so much to me. I think it's hard to find time for all of it. So finding those little moments, even if short, are super important.
If you had one word to describe your calendar, what would it be?
This is probably the worst advice, but my calendar is sort of, it's messy. I'm sure as most are. For calls that I don't sit on, but I'm invited to, I oftentimes will not decline them because that time then is held and nobody books over it traditionally. And so that's like my time to catch up on something, which is nice. We actually implemented, so it's actually a company value of ours. It's called GSD, Get Shit Done. And so Thursday afternoons, we call it a GSD afternoon. And so from 12 to, you know, end of day, nobody's allowed to take meetings. And it's just our team. So, you know, we've blocked it off. It's out of office. And so it's a great way to catch up. It's a great way to actually get like true work done. It's hard, really hard to maintain that, especially for external calls that, you know, come in that you can only find time during that, but it's a great way to keep the team focused on, actually not spending your entire day on calls.
Going from meeting to meeting.
Yeah.
So tell me about, you said you like to run.
Yeah.
What else do you do to chill out?
Well, I walk a lot. I actually was in Chicago for a month this summer, and I spent the whole, all of my exercise was just walking down the lake and listening to podcasts, and catching up on calls with friends and just trying to relax. I do like to work out. I enjoy spending time with my kids. It's family is a really important part of our business. We see a ton of families that visit AutoCamp. So I always try to see things through my kids' eyes. I think there's nothing more exciting to experience their sense of discovery and excitement. And so whether that's playing a game with them or doing something with them outside, playing sports with them, they're all getting into hiking, which is a really fun thing to do with them. I love to hike. It's a huge attribute to, I think, Santa Barbara is amazing hikes.
Santa Barbara is perfect for all of the things that it's just sort of perfect in general.
Yes,
but
it's a good spot. So we try to spend as much time outside. That was a big reason why we moved there, was just to be able to have access to the outdoors. And it's so important, especially for kids. So we try to always spend time outside.
So tell me, we've got an afternoon on Thursdays that's allocated to GSD.
Yep.
How else do you think about managing talent, work reviews, working with stakeholders? How do you think about the balance of that through the week?
Yeah, that's a great question. No week probably looks the same. I think it's always easy to focus your time on the things you're most comfortable doing. And so I love spending my time clearly on marketing, and I love spending time with our creative team. I feel like it's the things that excite me most. I actually also oversee revenue and sales, and it's been an incredible, I think as a CMO, you're always trying to figure out where you learn and how you continue to advance your career. And I think actually, this is the first time revenue is reported into me, and it's been such an amazing exercise in just not only learning, but also kind of trying to figure out how to manage all these different disciplines, but then how to weave them all together. So I try to devote time for us as a group every week to get together, because obviously revenue and marketing need to go hand in hand. But then I try to obviously spend time doing things that are going to actually move the business forward. And so we spend a lot of time. I'd love to say that we're so proactive and we've planned out 2 years of a calendar, but that's just not the reality. So, spending time on what our marketing plans look like from now through, end of year and capitalizing on our peak season. It's interesting. Our product, very different than any other hotel brand I've worked for, very much focuses on seasonality. And so weather and what you can do in the outdoors is really important to our business. So we spend a lot of time talking about the demand in the different markets, but then what we can do to kind of capitalize on how we bring in partners during those seasons. And then I spend a lot of time too with our executive team and our investors, and really educating them on all the amazing marketing things that we're doing and revenue, different revenue channels and distribution channels we're looking at to help grow the business.
So maybe last question. You have inspiration all around you, inspirational teams, but inevitably we all sort of sometimes feel a little deflated or need a boost in creativity, a boost in motivation. When that happens, how do you judge the self?
I feel fortunate that I've got amazing friends, colleagues, people within the marketing industry, but I also have amazing awesome female friends that are entrepreneurs, that are lawyers, that are designers, that are in all these different fields and have really created amazing careers for themselves. And it's so fun to bounce ideas off of people that are not in your field, because they have such great insight outside of what you're doing in your day-to-day. And similarly, working with creative agencies, it's one of my favorite things to do. I think having a different perspective into your business, into your brand is so important. We've got an incredible agency we're working with right now, and they just bring such a different spin, and it kind of gets you out of your comfort zone, which is just, I think, so important.
So important. And so often harder to do the more senior you get.
Absolutely. Well, I think too, you always think your customers, your brand, nobody's going to know it better. And sometimes having that, even one small observation from the outside, will help you reshape, how you're looking at things, which is awesome.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thanks for having me.